Hello, my beautiful soul. It's Miss K here, and I welcome you all to my podcast. If you're new here today, I welcome you with a big, warm virtual hug. And if you have already listened to me before, I am so grateful and delighted that you're back. Today's conversation is one of the most personal yet universal topics I could bring to you. We're talking about pain, the kind of pain that breaks you down, the kind of pain that makes you feel like your whole world is falling apart. And more importantly, we're talking about what happens after. Because as much as breakdown hurt, they carry a secret. They can become the very doorway to your transformation. I'm not speaking to you as someone who's got it all figured out. I'm speaking to you as someone who's been there, who's cried until it felt like there were no tears left, who's felt betrayed, who's questioned our own worth. And yet, instead of letting it define me, I chose to let it refine me. And that's what I want for you too. Let's be honest. Nobody volunteers for a rock bottom. Nobody just wakes up one day and says, I'd love to have my life collapse today. But here's the paradox. Sometimes the biggest breakdowns are the most important things that could ever happen to us. Why? Because when you hit the lowest point, you finally see the truth that you've been avoiding. In my own life, I realized this after betrayal and manipulation. Mentally, I knew I deserved more, but physically, I was trapped in the cycle of repeating the same pattern over and over. It was exhausting. And it wasn't until I hit that deepest point where I literally felt like I couldn't continue the same way anymore. That's when I started to rise. And I know many of you listening have been there too. That moment where you think, I can't go lower than this. And that's exactly the moment you start to look upward. Rock bottom strips away the illusions. It leaves you with only one option to look at yourself and finally ask, am I really going to let this be my story? Or am I going to write a new one? Psychologist Carl Rogers, one of the founders of humanistic psychology, said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Rock bottom forces acceptance, and from that place, change becomes inevitable. Let's talk about why it's so hard to leave situations we know are bad for us. This is something I struggle with personally and deeply. Mentally, I told myself 100 times, this is wrong. I need to walk away. But my body, my habits, kept pulling me back. It felt like my mind and my body were at war with each other. Here's the science behind it. Your body is wired through patterns. Every repeated thought and action strengthens a neural pathway. It becomes like a groove on a record. And the more you repeat it, the deeper the groove. That's why even toxic relationships feel familiar, because they have become your brain's comfort zone. A 2010 study by Philippa Lally at University College London found that it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit, because that's how long it takes your brain to carve a new pathway. Just imagine how much longer it takes to undo years of toxic pattern. This is why you can't just decide to leave overnight. Your body literally has to unlearn the pattern, and that takes time, patience, and compassion. So if you're listening and thinking, why can't I just walk away? I want you to know you're not weak, you're not broken, you're just human. And your healing is not just about making a mental choice, it's about rewiring your entire being. Now let's talk about perception. Because here's the truth. It's not what happens to you that defines you, it's how you perceive it. Two people can go through same betrayal, the same heartbreak, the same failure, and one becomes bitter while the other one becomes stronger. What's the difference in it? That's perception. It's so easy to blame others. And yes, sometimes we truly are the victims, but staying in that victim mindset will paralyze you. Blaming keeps you stuck because when all your focus is on what someone else did to you, you give away your power. But the moment you shift perception from this happened to me to this happened for me, your entire life changes. Instead of saying, he betrayed me or she did me dirty, you can say, okay, this hurt me, but maybe this was a mirror. Maybe this was here to show me where my boundaries were weak, where I needed more self love, where I needed to respect myself more. And that shift is everything. When I was doing research on this topic, I came across Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and a psychiatrist. He wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. His survival came from perception, seeing meaning in even suffering. There's something else I realized. People are mirrors. Every person you meet reflects something back to you. The people who trigger you are teaching you about your own wounds. The people who abandon you are showing where you have abandoned yourself. The people who disrespect you are showing you where you need more stronger boundaries. This is why solitude is so important. Because when you stop running from one distraction to another and you actually sit with yourself, you begin to see these patterns clearly. You begin to ask, why did this happen? What does this say about me? What can I learn from this? And in that reflection, you start discovering who you really are. Most people are terrified of being alone, but solitude is where you meet yourself. And until you know yourself deeply, every relationship, every situation will just be a bandage for your wounds. But once you know yourself, you no longer chase validation, you embody it. All right, now that brings us to the main part of the podcast, the actual process of transformation. If you're listening to this while you're hurting, I want you to hear me. This is not just theory to me. I've lived the spiral. I knew in my head I was done, and yet my body kept me walking back to the same door. So, this part isn't about pretending change is easy, it's about making change inevitable. Step 1, Radical Acknowledgement. I want you to call your experience by its real name, not the pretty version you post online, the honest one you whisper in the dark. When you label an emotion, let's say, this is grief, this is betrayal, this is shame, your brain's fear center starts to quiet. Research on affect labeling suggests that simply naming what you feel reduces amygdala activation and increases prefrontal control. In simple words, the storm's still there, but you just put your hand back on the steering wheel. You know what? Try this right now with me. Place a hand on your chest and say, I'm feeling maybe guilty. I'm feeling betrayed. I'm feeling sad. And it makes sense. Here, we are not arguing with reality. We are befriending it. Because fighting feelings is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It bounces back even harder. Acknowledgement is the pressure valve. So for the next 90 seconds, breathe and repeat. This is what's here. I don't have to like it to name it. Let the wave rise and fall. You're safe in your own honesty. Step 2, regulate the body before you rewrite the story. Here's the truth no one told me early enough. Your body gets there before your mind. If your nervous system is in fight or flight, convincing yourself to just move on is like trying to do calculus on a roller coaster. So before we therapize the thoughts, we downshift the body. The autonomic nervous system listens to cues like breath, posture, eye gaze, and movement. There are practices like psychological sigh, that is two short inhales, one long exhale, box breathing, that is four in, hold, four out, and hold. Or a slow exhale with breath lengthens your vagal tone, your body's brake pedal. Short walk changes your state. Looking at the horizon instead of a screen calms visual tunnel. Even a cold splash on your face can trigger a mammalian drive reflex and dial down arousal. These aren't hacks, they are handles. I want you to treat this episode as a practical guidebook that you're doing at the moment with me. Let's do one more practice. For just 2 minutes, inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, remind your body we are safe enough to heal. When your physiology softens, your psychology becomes flexible. Step 3. Accept rock bottom as bedrock. I used to fear rock bottom. Now I respect it because rock bottom took away all of my illusions and left me with truth. Acceptance is not resignation, it's alignment. In acceptance based therapies, we learn that suffering equals pain times resistance. When we stop resisting what is, we stop multiplying our pain. Say it with me. This is my bottom, and this is where I pour the foundation. You know, there is a strange relief when you stop bargaining with reality. The floor you're sitting on right now can become the ground you build on. I want to ask you all one question. What truth did your lowest moment finally make undeniable to you? Write it down. Really, really think and answer it. And that sentence is a doorway to you. Step 4. Solitude. Meet the mirror without running. I know solitude can feel scary. When I finally sat with myself, no distractions, no noise, no person to text, I realized why I'd been running. Not from people, but from me. Here's what solitude gives you: a mirror with no distortion. You start to see patterns. You see how every person was a mirror: the kind one, the cruel one, the absent one. Trigger becomes messages. Where does this live in me? What boundary did I skip? Which need did I outsource? There's research on expressive writing showing that 15 to 20 minutes of honest journaling for a few days can reduce rumination and improve mental health. Meditation literature shows structural and functional brain changes with consistent practice, better emotion regulation, more prefrontal control. Ancient wisdom has known this for centuries. Silence reveals the self. Step 5. Reframe your vision from victim to the author. I'm not going to pretend you weren't hurt. You were. Maybe you did nothing to deserve it. But now you get to choose the story's voice. Cognitive therapy has shown for decades. It's not the event alone, it's the interpretation. He betrayed me stays true. I'm unworthy does not. That's a cognitive distortion. We replace it with I am worthy, and this revealed the places I abandoned myself. Same event, different meaning, new future. Step 6. Rebuild values and boundaries, your internal constitution. You know, after my own rupture, I realized I didn't have a constitution, a personal document that says what I value and what I will protect. Without that, of course, I drifted. Of course, line got crossed, some by others, some by me. Boundaries aren't walls, they are doors with locks. They don't shut the world out, they teach the world how to treat you. Start with values like honesty, reciprocity, respect, peace. Then translate these values into behaviors. For example, if there is yelling, I leave. If trust is broken twice, I renegotiate access. I don't explain my no. Research on assertiveness training shows decreases in anxiety and increases in self efficiency. Your nervous system relaxes when your behaviors match your values because you're no longer gaslighting yourself. Maybe for now, you can start with writing down your non negotiables list, like 5 behaviors you won't accept, 5 that you now require. Read it weekly because repetition turns it from a to do list into a life. Step 7. Micro rewiring. Identity first, habit second. Here's why change felt impossible for me at first. I tried to swap accents without upgrading identity. Neuroplasticity follows repetition plus salience. When the accent aligns with who you are and what you say, the brain pays attention. So instead, I'm trying not to go back, become. I am the kind of woman who chooses peace over patterns. That sentence is a neural instruction. Then we make it practical with implementation intentions. For example, if it's after 10 p.m. and I want to text, I'll just put my phone in the kitchen and maybe write for 5 minutes instead. These kind of plans turn willpower into systems. Habit research suggests it takes weeks to months to install a new default. On average, 2 months for simple habits, longer for complex ones. That's normal. You're not failing, you're wiring. Step 8. Transmute pain into purpose, service, and creation. Pain is energy. If you suppress it, it stagnates. If you discharge it recklessly, it harms. But if you channel it, it transforms. People who find meaning in adversity report post traumatic growth, greater appreciation, deeper relationships, clarified purpose. Creators talk about flow states where challenge meets skills. You don't need a studio to alchemize pain. You need a direction. Learning, building, serving, moving, even small acts like volunteering, mentoring, starting a new project signal to your brain that we are not just surviving, we are creating. I'll give you an example of the simplest way from where you can turn your pain into purpose. Let's say you're feeling abandoned. What you can do to channel this pain into a purpose is maybe check in weekly on a friend that is going through a breakup or a hard time, something that is related to the abandonment issues that you're facing right now. From there, you'll feel your pain turned outward and upward. Step 9. Choose safe connection. We heal ourselves and we also heal others. Safe relationships literally buffer stress. Oxytocin rises in trust, cortisol lowers in warm presence. This is why the right friend calms you faster than the right quote. If your current circle mirrors old chaos, curate a new circle. A therapist, if you can, a mentor, a group that speaks the language of growth. You're not being dramatic. You're protecting your nervous system. You're allowed to choose the rooms that keep your future intact. Step 10. Relapse plan, self compassion, and the long game. Some days you'll feel you nailed it. Some days you'll text back. Some days you'll cry in the car. That's not failure, that's human. Research on self compassion shows it predicts resilience more than self esteem does. Hardness paralyzes, but compassion, it mobilizes. What we can do here to turn it into an action plan is write a relapse plan. Say, if I slip, then I do maybe call a friend, journal the trigger, take a 20-minute walk, recommit to my next right action, not next week, next action. Don't push your goals to next timeline. We don't rebuild by perfection, we rebuild by return. And returning means you are not betraying yourself. I want to say this to the version of you who feels stuck. I've been you. I was mentally done, yet physically still crawling back there. I could list every single red flags, and still, my body walked me back to the same door. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. Your nervous system memorized the pattern and started calling it home. Of course, leaving it felt like tearing your soul off. But patterns are learned, and what's learned can be rewired. Slowly, kindly, with breath, solitude, with better boundaries, with micro habits that prove to your brain we do things differently now. You won't wake up on a new random Tuesday feeling that, okay, I'm feeling all good and great. You'll practice yourself new until the day you realize you didn't even think of going back. I believe this. Many of us have to meet our lowest to become our highest. Rock bottom is the doorway to self respect because it's where pretending stops. It's where you say, I am more than this, and from there, everything becomes about perception. You can stay in the easiest posture, blame, bitterness, the permanent victim, or you can choose the strongest posture, like ownership, meaning, authorship. The facts of what happened don't change, but who you become because of it happened, that's perception, that's power, and that's where your whole life pivots. And you want to hear the bitter truth of reality? Who does not have problems? No one's life is a perfect garden, and truly, most people are too full with their own plates to carry yours. So make yourself the one person who refuses to abandon you. Expect most from you because you're the only one who knows your whole story, and you're the only one who can rewrite the ending. So let me leave you with this. Nobody's life is a bed of roses. Every single person has problems, and here's the truth. Nobody really cares about your problem the way you think they do. People are too busy with their own battles, and that's why the only person who truly needs to care about you is you. The only expectations you need to hold are from yourself. The world may see a version of you, but only you know the truth of who you are. And that's the person you need to honor, protect, and elevate. Because breakdowns are not endings, they are beginnings. And the pain you're feeling right now, it's not here to destroy you. It is here to reveal you into the highest version of yourself. Just in case you needed to hear it, I can see your soul signing already, so just be an encased mind and sign even brighter. I'll see you all next week with some great topics covered. Until then, take care and I love you.